Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the
Your company name here.
studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? We are back for another week, and I don't know why. We were just talking and everything will sound cool like it always does, but here we are with my microphone sound a little goofy, but wait, there. I'll tell you what. 10 days with the windows open, humidity coming in, does horrible things to your mixing board. Gordon, how are you doing tonight?
Apparently, it's Bring Your Dog to the Podcast Day. I'm doing all right.
Bailey's passed out. I'll get to that
I wish
momentarily.
these two were passed out, but they've been alone since like 12:30 today. So,
And joining us from a far, far away land, across the river on the other side of the bridge, Mike, how you doing, friend?
Oh, you know me. Just
you know,
happy to be here.
Oh, Jesus, he sounds thrilled. Did you twist his arm to come on?
No.
I twisted my ankle to come on.
Oh,
You eat shit.
I did the other day.
Oh, damn.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I want to make the announcement because you were just talking about your dog, and I was talking about how Bailey's passed out. As of yesterday, 11/21/22, Bailey Ball Park is now officially reopened after post-damage reconstruction. That's right, Bailey was able to play her first official match of solo Bailey Ball yesterday, and she could not be happier, and she's completely worn out and just laying on the floor.
Awesome.
Woohoo!
So for those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, yes, I finally got my entire privacy fence rebuilt, and so now Bailey can play the ball in the back of the yard to her little heart's content. And now she'll probably lose the weight she gained over COVID. But, so we weren't live last week. We had a best of throwback back to episode 52 where Dave was talking about something Davish and all that good stuff.
Well, didn't everything he talked about was Davish?
Yeah, I mean, that's why Dave's no longer around because he daved too far and went off the Dave end. But, the reason we didn't have an episode last week is my father basically just kind of, not just kind of, but he essentially lives here now part-time. I mean, he's crashing here. He basically spends his days working on his house. But and so last Monday was his first day here. He brought his dog, and there was a lot of barking and getting used to their new environments involved. And we just thought, you know,
A little butt sniffing, a little this, a little that.
some growling and just being in an uncomfortable area. You don't know where you're at. You're not at your home. Things have just been crazy the last 60 days. And so we pulled an audible at the last minute and called it off because, well, life. Speaking of
life will life. That's for sure.
this is a new segment I was going to record an intro for, but this is going to be a new segment called That's Life. And on this episode of That's Life, we're going to take it over to Mike, no use for last name, because boy, apparently he's dealing with some life because he had a whole grocery list he wanted to present to me before the show. So Mike, if you don't mind, take it away with the new segment called That's Life.
Oh, that's life. So yeah, things going on with me. Let's see. Well, due to the storm and you know events of past, my parents
Of
are currently
yore?
living with, what's that?
Events of yore.
Events of yore. My parents are currently living with me. They have been
So we have a
since-
very
No, you
similar
guys are on a
situation.
parallel
We're like,
path.
Yeah. Things are going on. Yeah, they've been staying with me since. Well, during the storm, they came to stay. They live in a mobile home park and a house. got
now let us put a
destroyed.
fine point, pause, stop. Everybody take a breather. These aren't trailer parks of the Midwest. These aren't trailer parks of the North. These are gated communities for 55 and plus people who have retired, sold their homes, and realized a 4-bedroom
You saying,
house.
wait. You're saying there's not a bunch of guys and wife beaters and Budweisers out front drinking?
Those are in North
That-
Fort Myers. That's a
Okay.
whole different
Yeah.
breed. But a majority of the trailer parks are literally people who have their kids left the nest. They've retired from work. They're like, why am I paying $200 a month to air condition a 5-bedroom house?
So you're saying these neighborhoods never ended up on an episode of Cops?
No, not at all. These are like gated communities. Got the guy in the blue polo and the dolphin shorts riding around the golf cart. It says security. Think Lieutenant Blunden, if you will.
Does he got to be in dolphin shorts?
I think it's part of the uniform.
Like
Down
Jim
here it
Dandy
is.
from...
No, think Mr. T on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Every time he said, Flintlock Wood.
I never saw that. I read the book as a young child,
Mike's
but I
premise,
never saw the
"Flintlock
movie.
Wood." Yeah, you got to watch it. It's a good, kidnap the nephew, so you have a reason to watch Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but it's actually a damn good movie.
Well, and that's the difference that you have to specify. There's a difference between a trailer park
In a community.
and a mobile home park.
Some of them are even on golf courses. I've seen them.
But my understanding is a mobile home park, most of these homes are less mobile than a trailer park.
Yes,
A lot
but
of them,
when, when you say
could-
trailer park, people envision the episodes of Cops and things
Yes.
like that. Mobile home parks are double wides that are, garden tubs, the whole 9 yards. But anyhow, go ahead, Mike.
very nice, and so yeah, they lived in a mobile home park that was 55 and up, was gated, and all that happy stuff.
Now,
And,
sorry to interrupt again. 40s
He's
the new,
used a lot of wuzzes.
40 is the new 20, so 55 is the new 30. People are living longer. When we watched Cocoon back in the 80s, all the cast were 50. Now, when you look at Tony Hawk pulling 900s on half pipes, he's 50. Should they up the 55 plus to like 72 and a half plus? Because, look, fuckers, I'm 45. I mean, 55 is too close. I don't like it.
Well, I am going to tell you it's too close because I was talking to Dad about being in a 55-year-old community, and I said, I would make fun of you, but I just realized I'm a mere 7 years away.
That's my whole point. Because we are living longer than we once did, and old's getting young. It truly is. And so I think we need to up that to like 72 and plus. But anyhow,
Well,
go.
Or at least 65, 60.
Yeah, I mean, and the frustrating part is like, because I lived with them
Retirement
for a
age.
little while,
Mhm.
and because I wasn't
He was the big swinging dick
allowed-
of the 55 plus community.
right, I wasn't allowed to be there, and I only lived there for a
He's
couple of
just
months,
visiting.
and it was very, very under the radar.
Oh, you
But
can't park in the
they
same
started
spot
seeing my
twice in a
truck
row.
there.
Yep.
Every single day, people
Was it a
riding
plumbing
by.
contractor's truck?
No, it was just my pickup truck.
Look,
Okay, good.
look,
But
Mr.
yeah, they started noticing
the
things.
security
They-
guard
they were
has his head on a swivel. He's got nothing else going on. And
Yep.
so he notices cars that weren't there that are now there all the time. And he probably even went to the office and ran a registry through all the residents to see whose car that was. He's not on the registry. That some bitch. Okay, Steve, tonight, 2 a.m., we're going to chuck his tires.
Damn it, he
Well,
moved. He
and
must
they-
be working.
I got the
and
sock hat. You bring the chalk. I can't see shit in this thing.
The community actually has stickers that you're supposed to put them on the vehicle. It's got the initials of the community.
I like the fancy ones
Yeah.
that put the barcode on the back passenger
Yeah.
driver's side
Well,
window
then
so
they
it
just look like a
scans when they
rental
go
car.
through.
But see, my parents brought up a good point about that. Was like, why would I put the initials of the community that I live in on the back of my car
Mhm.
when all these people driving around know exactly where I would live? can
Furthermore,
find
why
me?
give your community that's charging you $5,000 a year in homeowners association free advertisement?
Right?
Same reason I
exactly.
took that license plate ring off both cars.
So, they never did put the sticker on, and they got hassled for that, and it's
I love the
It's-
people who live in
yeah.
55 plus gated communities who don't know their goddamn key code. As a computer guy, and I'm sure you experience as a plumber, you go to these fucking places and you call them, what's your key? I don't know. And half the time they don't even know how to use the automated phone system. So they
How
drive,
do you get in and out of your neighborhood? Oh, you
they
got the
drive
little
down
clicker.
there in their
Got the
golf
clicker.
cart with the
Yep.
garage door. It's like, do you never have guests? Am I the only one that comes here that you don't know the code or how to hit the code on your
Oh,
phone and
I guess
activate the
live up in New
switch?
York.
well, and either that or they've got the transponder in their car, or they do have that sticker or whatever, and it just automatically opens for them. But yeah,
I just got
I've
a
dealt with
fancy
that.
garage door opener.
I've dealt with that a lot being a tech.
You just sit there and wait
go
for
to
someone else to come. You tailgate them right on it.
It just happened the other day. I was talking to actually builder that we were working with, and I was like, "Hey, what's the gate code?" And he was fumbling around, and somebody came up behind and opened the gate, and I was like, "Oh, thanks."
Really?
So, but yeah, living in one of those communities, it's very, very.
What do you mean by one of those? Go ahead.
Hey, it's one of those communities.
It's one of those communities.
55 and up is very, very, at least in this particular community, can be very, very strict. And
we don't want no rabble rouser youngsters in here at the age of 49.
Right. And there's
and all your partying ways.
There's a lot of politics involved.
Of course.
Which there's politics and everything, but I mean, let's be honest, it's old people with nothing better to do but to live out the rest of their days, stomping their feet and saying, no, you can't do that. Because I think that's all they have left. That's all they have. The
well, that's
kids
all
don't
they
come
have.
And visit anymore.
The active ones.
Nobody comes by. It's just they gotta hold on to something.
Well,
flash forward a mere 30, 35 years, and Mike will be, hey, you're not supposed to be here.
Get off my lawn.
Hey, you damn kids, get off the lawn. Well, the ones who are real active, the ones that refuse to go with the dying of the lights, they're the one who volunteers for the Lee County, what do they call that? They drive in the little knockoff cop cars with the amber lights. Oh, the Voice. What? They drive around the Lee County Voice, and they pull over behind accidents, and they witness DUI checkpoints. You have the old guys that wear white shirts with a fake badge on it, and it says Lee County Sheriff Voice. And instead of having the official police lights in the car, they have an amber and green light. And they use it for traffic control.
Why did I just get a memory of a story in a video I watched about some asshole who ran traffic for funeral processions, would act like a cop pulling people over, and I believe he was out of Florida.
Yeah. I remember one time we were driving down the street and I was like, it's a cop. I was like, no, that's an amber and green light. He don't count. Don't slow down for him. He has no authority.
I look for the tag that says EX on it.
So anyhow,
that brings up an excellent point though too, is
excellent, Smithers.
If this happened, this is just hypothetical, an unmarked car just tried to pull you over, would you stop?
No. If I don't see any state tags on it and they're all private,
yeah,
especially if they're not on the front, I'm going
that's
to
a little
say
harder
no.
down here.
But here's what I will do: I will call in 911 to verify.
That is a little harder down here because down here in Florida,
being that I am an armed citizen, I will definitely call 911 to verify.
Yeah. The only hard thing about that down here is they don't have front plates.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of look for the silhouette of the laptop behind the dashboard.
We're supposed to have front plates on if your vehicle has means and methods.
But if it's a cop car, then
they'll have the quote unquote hidden marker lights.
You also look for there's some other markers on the cop car, like the lights up inside the windshield,
especially on the back of the Rangers and shit. Yep.
Yeah, sometimes there's flickery lights inside the grill. You got to pay attention to.
People can buy that.
You can buy all that car. Shit.
My neighbor's one of those auto auction guys, but he has not a cop written backwards across his windshield so you can see it in your rearview mirror because he don't want people slowing down in front of him either.
Well, and when I lived in North Carolina, that actually brought up another point about that situation. There was, I think it was a couple or something like that, that actually bought a Charger because that was their vehicles that they used up there. Mm-hmm. It was unmarked, blue lights only, and they were pulling people over and they were actually robbing them.
Oh yeah, no, we've had that going on out here, and they were using Chargers, but I think it seems like the Stadies and Metro have pretty much switched out to the Explorer with the Interceptor in it.
I know when Dave was driving truck around here, he was driving a tow truck. He was telling me he was constantly towing Cape Coral cop cars. They're always breaking down, he said.
Well, they're driven so rough and beat to shit.
So anyhow,
we go by a Metro yard and there's just wrecked cruisers left and right.
We have
You've been doing some pit maneuvers, are you?
That and taxi cabs are probably the biggest beat up vehicles.
Oh, I think taxi cabs clearly beyond the cop cars.
Oh, I can agree with that. I'm just saying, as far as
a million miles on them,
the top two.
Oh, 100%.
Those are the top two beat up cars.
So we've digressed off your topic, and so life's kicking in the nuts. Parents are living at your house.
Yeah,
Twisted
kinda
your
going
ankle.
back onto it. But yeah, I've got my parents living at my house. You know,
Now, are you able
it's-
to use the my house, my rules?
there's a gray area.
Why are you standing in the refrigerator? Shut that door.
It's definitely a gray area
Don't
because
touch
it's
that
it's my
thermostat.
parents, but
I
it's
know.
also my house. So
I need
no,
you to
it's-
call me if you're going to be late.
Yeah, no, it's been good. You know,
Hey, dinner's ready.
I
Where the
blew
fuck
past
you
that
at?
at 18. So
I gave them a set of keys. I live in a gated community.
Keys?
so
What do you live in a Stone Age? You don't have one of those fancy computer button
I
locks?
don't have a gated
Not
community.
yet. They were supposed to do it this year. They were actually supposed to put key codes on all the doors. I live in an apartment community, so but yeah, they were supposed to do that for all the locks. But yeah, I got them a set of keys and a gate card and all that stuff. And
Now, do they have to
it's-
put the sticker on the back of their window?
No,
Okay.
we don't do stickers here. But it's
You're
been
over
going-
55. You're not allowed to be. Sorry.
It's been
Well, that'd be
going.
discrimination then, right? But it's not. It doesn't work the other way around.
No,
I thought age discrimination wasn't legal anyway, but
no, that only goes according to, you know,
Yeah.
when you're 55 and up, it's okay for them, but it's not okay for you.
yeah, you don't want to hear Don back in his early 20s coming down your neighborhood booming fucking.
Shit,
the
that's me
Juggalos.
now with my fucking windows rolled down on my Tundra. I don't give a fuck. My neighbors can play mariachi music till 3 a.m. I can fucking play goddamn Zach Ryan real loud at fucking 5:30 p.m. when I come home from work.
That's the beautiful part about owning a single family home. You can do whatever the fuck you want in your neighborhood.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know, having the parents here and living and everything, that's been going pretty well. You know,
That's
it's-
awesome.
it's-
You getting some good cooking from Ma?
Yeah. I haven't, you know,
I've been doing all the cooking.
That's what I've been doing for 13 years. So I get it.
we haven't gotten I don't think we've gotten the good Italian cooking yet, because she cooks some really good like baked ziti and
I think you may need to put that on the list. Build yourself a weekly list. Throw in a ziti here and a lasagna there. Then Mike will come back 3 weeks later and be 500 pounds. A couple of cannolis.
Trust me, I'm not far off. But yeah, I think I do need to add that to the list, because that would be some good eats. We haven't actually had a good, like, really homemade Italian meal here in a while.
Get your Guido on.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, both my parents, they still work, and you know, we actually all work at the same company. So you know,
What we say?
Carpool.
what'd you say?
Carpool, exactly. Oh, well, you're a tech. You can't carpool.
Yeah, I'd carpool, but I have the work truck.
He just
and they
throws
go
them
in
back
at
to the
6:30,
van.
and I don't have to be there till 8. So I'm like,
So they're the office and you're in the field, huh?
yeah,
The orifice.
the orifice.
Damn it, Dad. Why'd you
So-
fuck up my
but-
parts order?
Yeah, Dad. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, and.
but yeah, you know, the living situation, it's been a little tight, but we've been able to make it work. They got a dog, they got a bird, and you know, I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and we had plenty of room, so it worked out. So that's that portion
That's
of it. But
life.
couple of, what was it? Last Tuesday, I rolled the fuck out of my ankle.
Did you
It's
try
You
to
hurts.
didn't
smoke
just
it?
roll your ankle. You rolled the fuck out of your ankle.
I rolled the fuck out of it.
Yeah, I know how that feels being a guy who constantly rolled his ankle probably 3 times a day for a decade.
Yeah,
That
Were
shit ain't
you
fun.
wearing footwear or were you barefoot?
wearing footwear.
What kind
Were
of
you wearing
footwear were you
Crocs?
wearing? Crocs or
Red-
flip flops?
Red wing work boots.
So high quality work boots.
Hmm. They're a couple years old and they're a little.
Is your
beat up, but they
heel
were tied
is your
tight.
heel loose?
You know, that's one
Yeah,
thing. You just brought up something that is a pet peeve of mine. and I'm sorry
Collapsing
to segue. Tight shoes. I see motherfuckers at the gym with shoes that looks like they just fall off and walking around, and I've got to have my shit laced up tight, or I just feel like A, I want to break something, or B, just it doesn't feel comfortable.
Who are these cats who wear the shoes that they don't know how to walk in, and so their heel at some point spilled 6 inches over the sole, and they
They're
just
the ones
keep
who
on
don't tighten their
walking,
shoes.
and so now the side of the shoe is now the default heel, It's it's like, come on. No wonder your ankles hurt. Oh, I like the people who you especially see the chicks at the gym because they want to be fashionable. They're working out in
Hey,
Chuck
I like
Taylors.
the pants they wear. A lot of them.
I'm not talking about the pants. The pants are fine. It's the Chuck Taylors.
While working out?
Yes, the
I
world's
see chicks doing
worst.
that much out here.
The world's worst shoe with absolutely no
Support.
The soles came out in 1938 and have not changed. Their Vans is the only one second to Converse as far as bad support on original soles.
Well, and original, skate shoes too were like that because they didn't. I mean, they were all.
Yeah, it's
What
just
you don't
it's just
know,
a
Flat
flap of
soled and all
rubber. Yep.
those shoes are sleepers. They have probably replaced the insole with a super feet or something.
No, these young cats, they don't care. Most of them are like,
And they're the ones that's unlaced and they're running on a treadmill.
no, they're squatting. These usually the chicks who just squat all day long.
Most of the chicks
Yeah.
out here wear actual like gym shoes. Now the dudes, on the other hand, we got a bunch of clown asses.
Well, there's a lot of young cats go to my gym. So these are like high school to freshmen in high school age. I mean, freshmen in college age. These are the young cats. I see the dudes with them on too. It's like, no. And then stand next to him's Biff, who has no shoes on. I'm like, okay, put the Chuck Taylors on. It's the no shoes at the gym. Just
you're giving everybody pregnant feet through their shoes because you're not.
You see people at the gym with no shoes.
that's
on?
a new
it's a
trend
thing.
for squatting because it's natural.
They want people.
you wanna
people
get
wanna, if you ever follow
better footment
Ali
placement.
Spagnola, she's done this recently. Is trying to go into walking and hiking without shoes on it. Actually, your toes, I guess, are supposed to actually start splaying.
That's why they
out.
made those earth shoes, those toe shoes a couple years ago. But no, basically when they're squatting now, they take their shoes off. Be standing in their socks. They're sweat sponges, and they walk away and there's little wet feet prints. Like fucking gross. Put your shoes
Have
on.
you ever tried
Fucking
doing?
gross.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of that, have you ever tried doing push-ups on a tile floor in socks?
No, I'm smart enough to
That
take
shit
one off.
don't work.
Speaking of which,
It works, but it adds a little extra level of difficulty. I was
Let's-
stuck doing that yesterday.
segue
Otherwise-
to we have decisions to make.
Okay.
We are 22 days in on the
Yeah, and
60
your number
push-ups
was
a
off
day.
at 21, by the way, by about 60.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, I did them all yesterday.
No, you said you're at 13, 20, or
Oh, I did the
13, 16.
math,
You're
but
at
anyhow.
12, 60.
Anyhow,
Sorry.
Gordon and I have both been doing 60 push-ups a day for the last 22 days.
Coming around the bend.
Coming around the bend.
Final week.
So the question is next month we need some rest, but I don't want to get rusty because in January I want to try to go for 80 or 100. If you're up
Well,
for it.
I say next month we back off of the push-ups,
Sit-ups.
but we make sure we're in the gym at least 4 days a week each.
Well, I was
I'd say-
thinking instead of 60 a day, 30 every other day. That way we have rest days and then we're only doing half. That way, because if we do none and then try to go in January or doing 100 a day, there's no fucking way. But if we drop
I
down
get
to 30 every other day, we'll stay in fighting shape, if you will. We'll keep the rust off, and then all we're doing is increasing our
in the beginning
numbers.
of the year.
Yeah, in January we'll
New year, new me. Do a hundo a day for the month of January.
or we do 80, but
I may do 80 because I am a little concerned about the rotator cuff on my right shoulder.
yeah, that's the other reason why I want to go every other day, because right now I'm contemplating trying to do incline push-ups just to get a different angle on my arms because they're getting fucking tired.
Noodle
Now,
arms.
I want credit. I'm so dedicated to this. Not only was I
let my fat brother beat me.
busting out push-ups at a World War II event, I was driving back to Kentucky from my friend's celebration of life and my dinner date with my daughter at the world's worst Longhorn Steakhouse. Gotta write that down. Longhorn. And I was looking at the clock. I'm like, fuck, it's 11:54. What the fuck am I going to do?
You
I
pull
got
over the side of the
20 more-
road.
I pulled into the rest stop in between Union and the Richwood exit, pulled over, got out right in front of the car, busted 20 push-ups out in the parking lot, went inside, took a piss, and came back out like,
Now,
I
you
don't
know
care if
what
people look
would
at me
have been
crazy.
impressive if you had the time? You doing it in front of the Big Bone Lick sign.
I do have pictures. I did visit Big Bone Lick. They were not there. Nice lady was. I did get myself a cinnamon roll and some caffeine.
Oh, you mean you visited Beaver Lake?
Yeah, Beaver Lake. I'm sorry. Oh, what did you say?
I was going to ask you about that.
Big Bone Lick State Park, right down the road. Yes, there is the big 69 right on that that road.
So I did fly into Kentucky. Actually, so anyhow, let's not digress. So are we agreeing 30 every other day in December?
Yeah, okay. I'll have to get that into my.
So it's been written. So it has been told.
Calendar.
Okay, real quick. We don't want to spend too much time on it. My trip to Kentucky went okay. I flew out the day Nicole hit. Later that afternoon, my flight was delayed by an hour. I haven't flown in quite some time. I used to fly a lot more when I lived in California. I did fly on Nickel and Dime Airlines.
There's several of them. Which one?
Well, see, most people, when you're looking for cheap flights, you don't go to the direct website. You go to Cheap Tickets or Flight Guru or Uncle Steve's back-end flight deals, and you get the cheapest tickets. And
actually, I'm going to... I was told something different at the airport. This is the crazy part. If you actually go straight to the airport, straight to the counter, you could buy a ticket even cheaper ahead of time.
Interesting. I bought mine like 3 weeks ahead on a website. But anyhow, so when you buy them on the website, you don't see a lot of the disclaimers and special mentions. You just see, here's the flight, here's the price. Have a nice day. Didn't care about seat placement. I just needed tickets because, well, my rental car was prospectively going to cost more than my tickets, but I found the Toro app and got a car for $36 a day. So, anywho, I get to the airport and check in at the counter. Hi, I've been to the airport in years. How you doing? Okay, here's my checking in. Okay, you're good to go. Hey, boarding pass? Excuse me? I feel weird. I have nothing in my hands. Boarding pass? Do you have the app? Yeah, I have the app. That's how I knew my flight was on time. Go in the app, pull up your boarding pass. But I want boarding pass. We charge $35 to print up a boarding pass. Yeah, the app will work just fine. It's asking for a confirmation number. Okay. Boop. Okay, got my boarding pass. Thank you. So now I'm sitting, waiting.
Is this the Animal Airline?
Waiting and sitting. This is, yes, Frontier Airlines, Nickel and Dime Airlines. So I'm waiting, and I'm a little hungry. It's early. I stop at Burger King. Hi, Burger King. Fried foods only due to maintenance on the grill. Burger King has no goddamn burgers.
So nothing flame broiled, right?
You got Kool-Aid, no sugar, peanut butter, no jelly, ham, no burger. So I couldn't get a hamburger at the newly remodeled Fort Myers fucking airport, which I haven't been to in years. The Starbucks stand is gone and been replaced with a whole fucking store. Anywho, so that's how my day started. Burger King with no burgers, hour flight delay. Get on the plane, sitting smack dab in the middle of the row. Seat here, lady here, young cat here, his father over yonder. Row in front of me, bulkhead aisle, empty. Now, back in the day, before the world turned to fucking shit, was a Wednesday, when I would go moseying on up to the gate, howdy do, I'm here to fly your flight. They'd say, you're a tall motherfucker. I said, I know, it's a short man's world. They said, how would you like to sit in the bulkhead aisle? Fantastic, thank you. So I'm sitting on the flight. The steward the flight attendant, came up. I said, hey, fella. He said, yes. I said, how, is this a sold-out flight? He said, no, it is not. I said, cool. I said, once we get to altitude, cruising speed, if you will, would you mind if I get up and sit in one of these seats? He said, no. You didn't pay. Ba-dum-ba-dum.
So who's going to open that emergency door in the bulkhead aisle?
So, of course, I did what any good content creator does. I made a TikTok. And went about my way. I'm reading my book, Brothers in Arms, Best of Battle. It's about Wild Bill Garnier and Babe Heffron, Band of Brothers fame. And the young kid next to me is watching Midway on his cell phone. I said, interesting. He looks over my book. I look over his phone. He looks over my book. I look over his phone.
Oh, and then they were in love.
And then his dad yells at him, hey, stupid.
Creepy, but
put your phone away. We haven't even taken off yet. You're wasting your battery.
Call him stupid.
Why waste your battery on the tarmac when you can waste it in the air? Okay. No, I didn't get a chance to watch Kelly's Heroes yet. The boys watching Midway and talking about Kelly's Hero. Like World War II, do you? So I start talking to his dad and him about World War II. And we take off. And about 35 minutes into the flight, read my book, get a rappy tap tap on the shoulder from the stewardess, the madam, the sir, the man. Go ahead and take one of those seats over there. Thank you. Got up, sat in the seat, did what any good content creator do, make a secondary TikTok because I made talk shit about the airline in the first one. Gotta be honest, corrected it, posted it, well, set it in drafts and posted later. Reading my book, enjoying my leg room. I know where we are in flights based on the matter of boom you hear. The first one means you're getting there. Second one means you're at cruising speed. Second one means you're lowering cruising speed. Fourth one means you're about ready to land. Somewhere in between number 2 and 3, I hear a scuttle, but a hoopla. A snafu, if you will. The dad, because now I moved from the right aisle to the left bulkhead seat. Now dad and random strangers sitting behind me. And another stewardess comes up and says, when we land, the police will be waiting at the gate. Oh, shit. Was it that big of a deal I asked to move fucking seats? Holy fuck. Okay, thank you. What the fuck?
Now, is this stewardess hitting every row?
No, just the guy behind me. Instructed him that when we land, the police will be waiting to arrest him. And
this is the guy that you were sitting next to?
The father of the son I was sitting next to. Mm-hmm. I was in the right lane, middle seat. Son was on the aisle seat. Across the aisle was dad. Empty seat, random stranger. And then I moved in front of that row bulkhead seat all the way up against the wall.
Okay.
Well, that's fucking weird. Whatever. Go back. Yeah, so, yeah. Yes, that's correct. The police will be here. What the fuck, man? All I did was ask for a free seat. So I asked the lady, what the fuck's going on? Well, apparently I'm not the only cheap fuck on the flight. On Nickel and Dime Airlines,
full of them.
On Nickel and Dime Airlines, if you don't pay for your seat, you and your party get dispersed about the plane based on the computer algorithm. Not because of placement or balance, as they say in the bullshit fucking announcement. Don't get up, move seats because of balance. Yeah, what the fuck ever. This ain't a hot air balloon. So apparently,
you may capsize the plane.
Father's behind me. Son's back to his right, next to where I was sitting. Wife is up front somewhere because they didn't pay extra. So their family of 3 was dispersed about the plane. Just got lucky the dad and son were next to each other. 2 different aisles. Apparently, Mama up front was being verbally accosted by the drunk man next to her.
Oh, boy.
But the verbal accostation is at such a low tone that no one heard it. Crickets. But to the point where I guess she texted her husband. The husband reached out to a flight attendant, and the flight attendant did a little investigation, Maha Club style, and determined at which point somebody decided this guy's being a dick enough that he needed to be arrested at the Boone County Airport. Fuck. Flight was already delayed an hour.
Boone County show up?
Flight was already delayed for an hour. Now we know we're in for a wait. So we land, and we wait. All quiet. Once again, the accoster, if you will, made no scene. There was no scuttlebutt. There was no ruckus, no chaos. It was just a long sit on a quiet fucking plane, at which point they arrested him, apparently, and he's got to spend the weekend in Boone County Jail. I raised the question.
Sucker.
He's not making a scene. Instead of making the cops come to Muhammad, why don't you let Muhammad off the plane? Well, I guess playing Muhammad. Probably, no, okay. Instead of making the guy, instead of taking the horse to the pond or bringing the pond to the horse, how about you let the horse off the plane and simply have a stewardess behind him going,
yo, now get.
Just point at him. It's him. That way we can all get off. He can get arrested at the end of the tarmac or at the end of the tunnel. We can all go about our fucking day. But no, they got to do it on the plane. What was that? We're all going to die.
Who was that?
I don't know. I have no pop-ups on my screens. So anyhow,
no pop-ups on my screens either.
So anyhow, that was how the flight came in. Rock and roll tour like I always do. Drove to my mom's house, went to sleep, got up the next morning, drove 2 hours to Ohio. Tried to have an early dinner with Nick. Nick didn't get off work late. Did the celebration of life for Jason. Saw a bunch of people I hadn't seen in 20 years. Went and got my daughter. Went to Longhorn Steakhouse. They gave us a bunch of food with a bunch of salt. Blamed it on their seasoning. Got free food. Drove home. Got home around midnight or 1 in the morning. Got up the next day. Went snow fishing. Videos on YouTube. Caught one fish. Drove back home. Went to sleep. Woke up. Went to my sister's. Went to a casino, went home, went to bed, got up and flew back to Florida. Here we are.
Y'all go to the Horseshoe Casino.
No, they just reopened Turfway Park.
Oh, as a casino?
Yeah, it's all slots, but yeah.
What's it called?
Turfway Park.
Shit.
But anyhow, that's that. So the fishing was cool. But yeah, it was a quick turnaround, and then so we got back in town, and then Dad picked me up from the airport. And then the next day he said, hey, I need a place to crash. I said, come on over. And so that's how everything got thrown into disarray. Well, not really disarray, but that's why the show got canceled. So I'm going to move into a little bit of scripted material, 54 minutes and 30 seconds into this. But anywho, we haven't done one of these in a while.
We humans love to play. We humans love to play.
And a repeat, apparently.
We've been playing since the dawn of our existence. Over the last 300,000 years, we have come up with thousands, maybe millions of games.
So this is one of those movie trailers that just does not serve its purpose in the audio format because it's a lot of visuals. But speaking of challenges, you all know how I feel about Savage Races and all that, blah, blah, blah. I like to watch challenging stuff. Sometimes it motivates you. And I found a series on Netflix called The Human Playground. Human Playground's interesting. It's a docu-series. No, it's not some soft porn that you see on Cinemax, despite the name. What it is it's a docu-series, and they travel around the world finding people doing super crazy, challenging shit. And kind of the whole story behind the story is the games these different people, including us, play, the different physical things, challenges, all were things that we did in the past that were based off of hunting, surviving, that led us to be where we are today, and now kind of how the world's going the other direction. But it's cool. They flew to like somewhere in Alaska where some chick was brutally sexually assaulted at some point in her young career, and then she came across the Wim Hof videos. You know who Wim Hof is, Gordon? He is essentially not the creator, but he's responsible for popularizing and mainstreamizing the process of cold water plunging, and he came up with the breathing technique that you do it beforehand.
Okay.
And so this chick goes up to Alaska and has some fella with a chainsaw cut a big ass triangle out of the frozen lake, and the ice is about 8 inches thick. She puts on fucking a scuba mask and goddamn flippers and goes under the water as long as she possibly can stand, despite the pain and the screaming and all that. Kind of the whole hypothesis a lot of you heard, especially you see it a lot with younger cats. Why do you cut yourself, or why do you hurt yourself? Oh, because I can control that pain. Well, it's kind of the same thing. She has flashbacks of the horrible sexual assault. So this cold water plunge is how she controls things, and it helps her find her therapy. And she's like down there for a fucking minute. And am I the only one, like when I play a video game or watch a show where someone's underwater, I feel like I need to hold my breath? I'm like,
no,
go up.
It's like when it's summer out and I watch something that's in the snow and ice, I actually feel nice and chilly.
And so they do a quick 15 minutes on her in one episode, and then they show another woman who's probably 65, does not live in a 55 plus community, but 65, and she's like over in, I don't know, the Middle East, doing this in crazy 500-mile fucking trot through the desert, some race. And the only rules to the race is if the camels pass you, you're disqualified. It's one of these things where they walk like for fucking a week. And they get some nice voiceover talking about challenging yourself,
so
and
don't
why
get passed by one of them creatures that carry their own water and are not dehydrated.
Why people do what they do. And then they had this crazy one where they're like in some rainforest or something like this, really old school just tribe of people, and they do this thing, man. And it's so crazy because of where we are at, in the United States at in 2022. All the young cats, man, they've been, since they're like 5, they've been kind of sword fighting with these wooden sticks, but they got head protection on. When they're like 16 and like 21, they go out and simulate combat with these other tribes without the headgear. And these guys have huge, imagine just getting a 7-foot-long switch. It's 2 inches long and just beating the fuck out of each other, all for the love of the woman in their village. I mean, they're doing this for the power of the vagina. I mean, these guys have scars on them from when they lost the fight when they were 16. It's just big old fucking gashes on their side of the head. They're just bleeding. And like when they lose, man, they do this fucking chant and they're just all down for the cause, man. And the other guy he lost against, they all celebrate and they're all dancing fucking balls ass naked with their fucking, straps and shit on. They're just beating the fuck out. It's like, holy hell. It's like here in the United States, we're talking about fucking toxic masculinity. And these guys are beating the shit out of each other for the woman's love. But as the narrator said, the women are the one in charge. They're the one who decides who wins, who loses. And these guys are just beat the fuck. And then they go down to Mexico or France, I think it is. It's bullfighting, but without the cape and the sword. And these guys are getting fucked up, getting flipped over by bulls. But they're just talking about how they do it for nothing more than to test themselves. They want to know how tough they are. And it's like the whole thing. But so you're watching all this shit, and then they said, esports is one of the fastest growing sports. Like, fuck. How are you going to go from showing guys getting gorged by bulls, a fucking 18-year-old dudes in the rainforest smacking each other's fucking limbs and bleeding and shit, to showing a bunch of fat Asian kids playing fucking Xbox all day for fucking 15 hours a day? It's just like, I don't know. Can we call esports? It's going to piss a lot of people off. I'll just get it out of the way. I'm here.
Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. Welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you probably should go.
Serious question. Can we call e-sport participants athletes?
No.
But they are good at what they fucking do. We can't deny that.
Right, but doesn't mean it's athletic. They're good at gaming or puzzling.
People want to justify it by calling them athletes. E-sport athletes. Why can't we just be honest and call them what they are? They're a master of their fucking craft. I'm not saying it's easy.
Because do they go to a gym to work on their skills to make themselves better athletes?
Well, I mean, you think about it. What do we call professional chess players? We don't call chess players athletes.
No, I just call them nerds.
We call them chess masters because they're they're literally the master of their fucking craft. It's not degrading them. It's not, saying they aren't.
Before they're a chess master, what are they called? That's the question.
Peons. I think they're called pawns. But anyhow, and so it's crazy to see them go that way. But then there was an episode. Fucking Chinese, man. No wonder they're kicking our ass. They see everything.
Okay, hold on. Athlete, noun. A person who is proficient in sports and other forms of, here's the catch words, physical exercise.
Thank you. It has to, when I think athlete, I think physical. Once again, it doesn't mean you suck. It's just that you're a master of your craft. You don't need to call yourself an athlete. I'm a fucking master of video games. Fucking yeah, you are. You make like fucking $2 million a year. I'm not putting you down, but let's not call you a fucking athlete. Well, I stay up for hours. I stay up for
call yourself whatever gender.
I stay up for hours on end. That takes stamina. Dude,
I identify as an athlete.
You're 18 and a half. Me and my cousin at the age of 14 stayed up 24 hours a day building fucking 3D mazes out of Legos for our hamsters. That doesn't make us athletes. We just mean we were young and we had Mountain Dew. You guys have fucking monster energy and fucking balls. That's why you stay up. Okay, it has nothing to be athletic. You're young and you can do it. That's why you don't see any 45-year-old esports guys, because they can't stay up for 5 hours. It's 5 days straight.
Fucking 9:30, we're in bed. What are you talking about?
But the fucking Chinese, man. So they go to Africa, and they call it wrestling, but it's you think MMA is hardcore? These fucking guys, it's wrestling with bare knuckle boxing, and they're fighting village to village, and they're talking about how these guys train and shit, fighting, clocking the shit out of each other in this decimated fucking poor shit country, and then they get the drone footage out. And in the distance, you see the world, not the nation, not the continents, the world's largest fucking wrestling arena, brand new, fucking top of the line. And the narrator said, donated by the Chinese government to keep influence in the region. I was like, oh, the fucking Chinese, man, the fucking Chinese. These guys built like a $30 million fucking wrestling arena in a country whose gross domestic product is $38 a year.
You guys will have to continue for a minute without me. I got to head downstairs for a sec.
And so they show these guys wrestling and fighting, and like the grand prize. And now I jokingly say the gross domestic product is $3.38 a year. However, the guy they're following around, first prize for the night, $15,000, not $150,000, not $500,000, $15,000. Yes, that is a lot of money. I'm not saying it isn't, but what I'm getting to is the guy told his hometown that if he wins the grand prize, he will share it with the entire village. The gross domestic product in this nation is so fucking low that $15,000 can prop his whole village up for probably 3 fucking years.
Jesus.
But the Chinese, man, they're on it. Like, hey, let's give them a fucking $3 million arena. They'll love us forever. We need to come in there and rape their land and steal their fucking natural resources. If anything ever pops up, come on in. We're your buddies. They're just so they're ahead of everybody. That's why they have influence all around. So anyhow, that's on Netflix. It is called The Human Playground. It's only like 7 episodes, which is kind of disappointing. I'm hoping to come out with season 2. I really think they need to do OCR. I really think that, but they have quite a few different things on there, different little shit, but it's a good one. And so I strongly recommend that. But next we have this. I said next we have this.
Gotta fire your producer.
Oh, what the fuck?
And now for the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
I'm seeing a trend that's getting even bigger. Talking about changing language and words. Is using the word family, loved one, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner. Are all of these too possessive of a word? Carrie watches a lot of these dating shows, and so by proxy I watch them, and I notice that they don't refer to him as my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my this, my that. It's my person. It's my person. And then I heard an advertisement for an Airbnb on the way home, and they said it's the perfect place for your people, your persons. Not your family, not your loved ones, not your friends, persons. Why do we have to decentralize everything? Why do we got to take feeling away from everything? It's saying my family, my loved ones, my husband, my wife, my non-binary sexual partner. Are all these too possessive of a word that we have to dumb everything down to say my people? Then we wonder why mass shootings are getting to be so much, because we're taking away love, taking away compassion from human beings, just turning them into.
And this has been the
Serious
What's in
question,
Your
though.
Head podcast
He sounds
TikTok
awful
lesson
familiar.
of the week.
Why is it that that's a thing now?
I think you went down a different path than I would have. I think it more has to do with just removing gender from it all.
Well,
Just
that's
the way
why I
everything's
included
going
my
and-
non-binary sexual partner. I included them in the thing.
No, I know that.
But like Carrie watches this 90 Days Fiance, and everyone, that's my person, that's my people. And then I hear this Airbnb commercial. It's a perfect place for your people. It's like, you mean your family, my gay husband, my partner. Partner is non-binary. There's no partner. It could be man or woman. That's the whole reason they came up with the term partners, for people who weren't married yet. And it's just, I'm seeing it more. It's this thing when you start to hear it in mainstream advertising. This was, for a Discover card. It was a Discover commercial for an Airbnb. And so, it's starting to become a thing. It's like, I don't know, it's just weird that we have to change every little fucking word now. And I truly mean it. I mean, I've been trying to think why
Double speak.
Why are shootings getting so bad? We can't blame the guns. Our nation was fucking built on guns. The only thing we can blame is lack of education when it comes to guns. At the end of the day, the problem is that we need to figure out and solve is people's lack of love for human beings.
Well, So it's part of it is definitely that or the narcissism. But I do think that we have entered a few years ago anyway, the age of emotion.
Oh, absolutely.
You had the revolutionary, the age of industry, the age of this. Now we're in the age of emotion, and by God, that's what we need is more emotion out there. Because people make rational decisions based on emotion.
Mike, do you think maybe it started when we started normalizing the phrase "my truth"? That's my truth. Bitch, there's only one truth. There's the truth. Not your truth, not my. There's the fucking truth. And
you got your truth, motherfucker, and I got mine.
I think it comes from television.
Mm-hmm. Well,
in all honesty, because that too, but the first time I've heard that phrase coined was in a show called Grey's Anatomy.
Yes, and that show is a very liberal show, but we got to keep in mind, though, things don't usually end up on television or in the mainstream media until it becomes part of the lexicon, the vernacular, the daily use.
True. Or it's under an agenda to push, right?
Yes.
True. I know that makes me sound like a crazy conspiracist.
It's crazy.
But then again, this show has been on the air for like 20 some odd years, and that was in like season 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it could have been
this is 20, we're talking at least 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And let's face it, these shows are written by usually people who are a lot more progressive. They consider themselves progressive.
Sure.
It's funny as much as they say they stand up for free speech, they're against it.
Well, and I always have
it's ass backwards.
And I always have arguments in my head to try to think thoughts out. And oh, well, what do you call a stranger? He's a stranger. Depends where you're at.
Not my person.
If I'm in Kentucky in a weird place, that's a stranger. If I'm
not my person.
That is not my person.
If I'm at Publix down the street, that's a member of my community. See, there's still some possession there. Maybe if we actually thought that way more, that these aren't strangers and members of my community, we would treat them better and people wouldn't get fucking shot all the goddamn time. You wouldn't have the goddamn cops going on the news looking for a K-bar 1217. That's right, I know the model number, saying that this is potentially what this fucking poor kids in goddamn Idaho got stabbed with.
Well, and again, a lot of it boils down to a lot of my generation and the terms and that hurt my feelings, and I need a safe space, and I need this, and I need that, and the gimme stuff, and it's like, I tried so hard to steer away from that mentality, of like I because I've been.
You saw right through it, right?
Too. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Yeah, I've had my moments. Believe me, I've had my moments.
Look,
but
when we're all younger, we're all, especially us dudes, we're all an emotional shit show.
Yeah,
until about
that's why most. What the fuck?
Not me.
That's why most
came over.
I think it's my outlook. That's why most that's why most cats in jail are between the ages of 17 and fucking 25, because young dudes are dickheads.
Yeah, their brains are not set in concrete yet, not done growing. It's the unfortunate truth. Just like I started back on Twitter, and
I'm sorry,
somebody had posted about gender identity. Males are males and females are females, and that's science. And a guy, obviously on one side said it's not science.
Science.
It is science. That's at the end of the day, two things. When a body is found, it is identified of one or two ways. Now, if it's got both parts, there can be some ambiguity, but generally it's male or female.
Or a hermaphrodite. Yes, that's right. That's a scientific
hundreds of
term.
years from now, and it's just bones, they're going to be identified one of two ways. Male or female. It's biological. That's science.
Science.
Yes, I get the gender thing. I understand with your emotions and how you feel, but let's be realistic and not foist some crazy outlandish double speaky, let's make up new word thoughts. There's something to it.
Yeah.
Personally, I believe it's a
hey, whatever blows your skirt up, dude. I don't care. Just don't push your shit on me.
Well, and Tom McDonald, I think, said it best too, because he said, "I'm just confused when I see a dude with a beard and some breasts. That line sticks with me, because it's like,
Dude looks like a
you know,
lady.
when they identify bones, like you were saying, they can identify whether just off of bone structure.
Off the skull.
Genetic makeup.
Just look at your
The
cat. I can tell you a male cat from a female cat by the size of the fucking head. Same thing.
There you go. And genetically, males are typically larger than females are, and it when it comes down to the genetics of it all and your bone structure and stuff like that, it is what it is. These are just it's all made up. It's all fucking in their
The
heads.
feel good, right? They're trying to do a feel good
It
approach.
makes everybody fucking feel better, which
It's
is fine.
Speaking
do
of
what you want to do, but
speaking of double standards and hypocrisy, more evidence of the decline of our society, at least here in the Western culture. Dateline, New York Post, New York City. White Lion King sign language interpreter says he was ousted over his skin color. For those who don't know, Lion King's been off Broadway for fucking years. It's not the great white way. A white sign language interpreter says he was booted from the Lion King on Broadway because of his skin color. Keith Wan, 53, was one of at least 2 people forced off the production of the nonprofit Theater Development Fund, which staffed Broadway shows with American Sign Language interpreters, after the group decided it was no longer appropriate to have white interpreters represent black characters for ASL Broadway shows. Can we see that? I mean, does it make sense, kind of, if we're being honest? I mean, Adam Carolla talks about all the time. Who's the deaf actress? Something Madeline or whatever? Deaf actress. Yeah, Marlene Matlin, right? Marlene Matlin. He was complaining that when Marlene Matlin accepts her Oscars, she has a male interpreter. And he thinks it's weird to see this. She's always had the same guy. She's loyal to him. But he kind of says how it bumps him to see a woman talking and then having Steve over there talking for her, being her voice. So I guess it's kind of understandable that maybe the Lion King wants to go this route. But let's just say this was the Broadway equivalent of Brother Oh Where Out Thou. And they fired all the black interpreters. It'd be a goddamn shit show.
So... yeah.
I think it's all shit.
There's some interesting theories about focus on gender and that being a marker for the downfall of a civilization.
I think it's more evidence that your hypothesis that aliens are nothing more than asexual time travelers trying to figure out when things went awry. It's true.
Maybe right.
Have you heard that theory, Mike? Gordon and I came up with this theory. So if we look at all the aliens from the 40s and 50s, they're gray asexual beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, who says they're...
Look at the way our race is progressing.
So instead of them being aliens, they're time
The human
travelers.
race being...
They're humans in the future after we no longer have sexual orientation. Now we're breeding people in the fucking laboratories. 200-300 years from now, they're all coming back to try to figure out when in the timeline things started to go fucking awry.
A couple thousand?
Yeah, 30 years from now.
Yeah, that's my theory. And then actually as a story I was kind of working on, and I'll kick out a quick brushstroke on it, is what happens is they have now found out that their civilization is going to... that version of the human race will come to an end because there is no more natural procreation and the lab's not working out. So they're trying to figure out when it went awry and how they can change time.
That's why they showed up in the 50s and the 60s and then a bunch of time in the 90s.
What happened was they were about 50, 60 years too early.
Yeah.
They meant to land in 2020, 2022.
Well, they weren't quite sure when it started, so they had to send out probes, and that's when Area 51 happened and all that, because they're just trying to figure out how
Which explains the probing that these people who say they've been
the sexual
picked up. I mean,
they need to see that, they've only read books, they've only seen they've only seen computer images of, human sexual organs. They need to get the probe out and
that's actually meant this for shit.
Yeah. And so that's
I bring everything back to 9/11.
Yeah.
If 9/11 didn't happen, I think a lot of things would be different today.
In a parallel universe, it didn't happen. There's the whole simulation theory, parallel universes, and there's a lot of good science behind it.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
And
what would have happened if Trump never was elected?
Well, one of the things
what would have happened if he was reelected?
One of the things about this shit that I can get.
Would we already be in nuclear war?
Yeah, we'll maybe get to next week. Is there's an article where more and more people believe the simulation theory, but that's too long to get into this point. But it's all definitely stuff to make you scratch your head over, and I think there might be something to it. But anywho,
speaking of that, if you want to scratch your head and you like to do an interesting thought experiment, go watch on Netflix Ancient Apocalypse.
Will do. Gordon, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. My dogs are having a fit because I've come back upstairs. But we are going to flip to the news real quick. Let me bring that up. What do we have here? This is coming out of
to communicate.
Las Vegas, Nevada. Alleged, and Don, you may be able to relate to this. I don't know down there in Southwest Florida if it's an issue. It's definitely one in some areas here. Alleged theft and disturbances by, students cause East Valley convenience store to close in the middle of the day. 7-Eleven, a Desert Inn in Eastern, says they have been forced to close for 1 hour every day because of disturbing after-school behavior by students leaving campus. From the hours of 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. every day, the convenience store is no longer open for business. The store has put up signs on the gas pumps to warn customers because of the ongoing situation with local students. The store has to close promptly. It has a close proximity to Valley High School. The store told the news that around 50 students have been gathering at the gas station after school each day as they wait for an RTC bus stop. Yes, that is the public bus, not the school bus. The teens often engage in what employees call rowdy behavior, leading to disturbances like breaking store windows, fistfights, and theft of merchandise.
Now, if this is the 1960s, the clerk would have said they participate in tomfoolery and grabassery.
Yes. Customers said they've been inconvenienced by the convenience store. I do see kids and I understand the situation. 50 kids walking into a store, but what is this other people can't do? And I need to get something I have to get at another store. It's very inconvenient. Store's 7-Eleven. Guess what? They're on every other freaking corner. Go down to the next one. They're basically stealing shit and causing problems.
Well, whatever happened to this story coming out in 2019? It goes back even further. I remember from the Stan Haney show. Can you hear it? Sonic devices play high-pitched noises to repel teens. In Philadelphia, 30 parks and recreation centers have outfitted a small speaker called Mosquitoes, and it blares a constant high-pitched ringing noise all night long, but only ones that can be heard by teenagers because, well, us old fucks, our hearings go bad. So why don't the 7-Eleven just put some of those up?
And you saw it on your phone setup, right?
Yeah. For those Gordon showed me, for those you have Android devices, you go down to sound and audio. What does it call it?
Adept Sound.
Adept Sound. You can do a hearing test, just like when you're at the warehouse and they make you do this, but it'll actually test your hearing and then adjust your music level to match the tones in which you can hear. So
now, I was still in the considered goods category, but I noticed my I don't hear bass as well as I used to.
My right ear is not as good as my left. I can tell you that much. But yeah, so they just need to break out the high-pitched decibels and get those little fuckers out of there.
Is that because that's where your M1 is every time you shoot it off?
No, it's just, I don't know.
But aren't you right ear facing?
Maybe it's the years.
Do you wear them 3M earplugs when you go?
No, those don't work.
Do you wear any earplugs when you're out there?
Yeah, I wear earplugs. No, I don't know if it's from all the years working tech support and having a right headset on my right ear or what, but just maybe it's all the years working at the ambulance plant and I don't know. Anyhow, my right ear.
I would ride about 4 or 5 hours a day with headphones in for about a decade, and then I would work with them in, so I knew something was happening. And then the occasional hammer drill in my ear didn't help.
I blame it on working the first Windows at Wendy's for 3 years.
That damn headset.
The one-ear headset.
New York City, coming in from the AP. Bob Dylan's publisher is offering refunds for a $600 special edition of his new book. The book is titled The Philosophy of Modern Song. Can you really call his stuff modern?
No.
acknowledging that the alleged hand-signed copies were not individually inscribed. Oops. Those who purchased The Philosophy of Modern Song, limited edition, we want to apologize, according to Simon & Schuster. They announced this in a statement posted on Sunday on Instagram because, you know why, their clientele apparently buys them. As it turns out, the limited edition books do contain Bob's original signature, but in a penned replica form. We are addressing this immediately by providing each purchaser with an immediate refund. Can we just get him maybe just
stop singing?
Signatures?
Oh,
You,
sorry, I went the different way.
You. Simon & Schuster's statement comes.
You remember that stand-up act?
Yes.
Bob Dylan sings like that
Bill
because
Hicks?
No, I think it's more mainstream than that. But the shtick was that he sings like that because he was encouraged to go out and sing in the woods. I remember who
Statement
did that.
came after days of complaints from customers who, through social media, had compared their copies and found the autographs suspiciously alike because God knows we can never sign anything the same twice. I can't even forge my own name.
I can when I sign my finger. It looks just like my license.
I can't. The books have arrived. Depends on if I'm signing left-handed or right-handed. Books have arrived with a letter from Simon & Schuster CEO Jonathan Karp, K-A-R-P, vouching for the signature's authenticity. So not only did they get phony baloney replica signatures, there is the CEO saying these are legit. The Philosophy of Modern Song, in which Dylan assesses compositions ranging from Hank Williams' Your Cheating Heart to Jackson Brown's The Pretender, was published November the 1st. And of course, a Dylan spokesperson declined to comment on Monday. Ohio, Van Wert. I tell you, Ohio's got some of the funkiest town names I've ever seen. Yellow Furnace. There's another one recently. Well, mink are on the loose.
Oh, no.
10,000 mink.
Oh, Jesus. What, a truck fucking fall off?
Nope. They're missing after vandalism at an Ohio farm.
Damn vandals.
Vandalism
MGP.
freed thousands of mink in rural Northwest Ohio farm, leaving an estimated 10,000 worth of the small carnivorous mammals unaccounted for on Tuesday evening.
It was MGP.
Somebody's going to have a lot of coats.
MGP. Meadow Grove Posse.
According to a local sheriff, so many minks were killed crossing a nearby road that a plow was brought in to help clear the carcasses away.
I see a new 8-bit video game being developed as we speak.
Yep, it was Frogger, and now it's...
No, it was Lemmings.
Mink.
Remember, it was Froggers, Lemmings,
Minker.
and then Minks.
Minker. Well, all you have to do, the people around here, a lot of pedestrians play live-action Frogger. That's why we have a lot of pedestrian deaths. So, according to Van Wert County Sheriff Thomas Riggenbach,
Just a few syllables away from fame.
If his name began with something other than an R, like what it is outside right now, that would be bad. Anyway, the property owner initially estimated 25,000 to 40,000 mink were released from their cages. Jesus Christ. At Lion Farms, Riggenbach said. But he said employees of the farm were able to corral many of those that remained on the property, which is less than 15 miles from the Indiana state line.
Whoops.
Make report to state line, Minkies. He declined to discuss any potential motives. I'm thinking it's probably some PETA-type person, but that's just me being judgmental. For the overnight vandalism, did they throw paint on them? Or say whether any suspects have been identified as his office investigates. A farm manager told WANE, Wayne TV, because apparently it's near Fort Wayne, Indiana, that someone left a spray paint message of the letters ALF. Alf. And the phrase, "We'll be back." A group known as the Animal Liberation Front, we'll just call them Shumway for short, had previously claimed credit for releasing a much smaller number of mink at the farm in a previous incident years ago, according to the Times Bulletin and Van Wert. Calls to a phone number listed for the farm were unanswered Tuesday, because I'm sure they're getting a lot, and wasn't accepting any messages. So, yeah. Look out for mink in northwestern Ohio. One last story. This will take you back to the 80s. I don't know if Mike can relate, but he may, because it has been on rerun. Famed Goonies house for sale in coastal Astoria, Oregon.
Oh, those people, that's because they get tired of people commenting. There's all these TikTok videos like how they have signs saying go away, don't take pictures. Those people hated living in that house. They're like, got to get the fuck out of here.
Good news for the fans of Goonies. The old Victorian home featured in the film is on sale in Astoria, Oregon, and potential buyers are considering making it more accessible to the public. Well, of course, you could open that thing up, turn it into an Airbnb or some kind of maybe that's what I should do. No, I don't want to go to Oregon. What was that? My brain is dead today. Anyway, bed and breakfast. That's it. We have a few interested parties right now, according to retailer Jordan Miller, the listing agent for the property. It seems that everybody's intention is to be able to open the house a little bit more and have more access. In 1896, the home had sweeping views of the Columbia River flowing into the Pacific Ocean. Has been listed with an asking price, and this is one reason I can't do it, $1.7 million on Zillow. It was described as fully loaded with history, nostalgia, and Jesus Christ, iconic level of fame. And since the movie hit theaters in 1985, I remember it. You remember it, Don?
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Mike?
Hey, you
Yes.
guys.
In 85? You went and saw it?
Yep.
How old were you in 85?
I was only 3.5 years old.
-8.
His dad's ball sack was there, so it counts.
There you go. Oh, Jesus. I feel old. Since the movie hit the theaters in 85, fans have flocked to the home in northwestern Oregon's historic port of Astoria. The city celebrates Goonies Day every June 7th. And the film's release date welcomes thousands of people to the event. Owner Sandy Preston,
Said,
that is spelled with an I, not a Y, was known to have very largely welcomed the visitors, but she lived in the house full time, and the constant crowds were a strain that prompted her at the time to close it to foot traffic. After the film's 30th anniversary drew 1,500 daily visitors in 2015, Preston posted no trespassing signs, prohibited tourists from walking the property. She reopened it to the public this last August. City officials who restricted parking in the area, I can only imagine that's a nightmare for driving through, has long sought to mediate tensions between residents and fans, hoping to see and photograph the location. While the owners, and this is a quote, while the owners of this location from the Goonies is a fan of the movie and enjoys chatting with visitors, making the trek to Astoria to see the film locations,
they just want
as
to be
you
left
can
the fuck
imagine,
alone.
it gets hard having hundreds of people crowding into your personal space every single day.
Mm-hmm.
The Astoria Waterton Chamber of Commerce wrote in August, that's a mouthful, on a Facebook page that they administered called Goonie Days. So yes, Goonie House is for sale. If you got a mere 1.7, and if there's a bidding war, probably 2 million, it could be yours to
Fucking
turn
empty,
into a small business.
Empty property on Fort Myers Beach goes
it's
for
not
$7
zoned
million.
for that.
Correction, I was -7.
Was that your last story? Or do you have one
That
more?
was it. That's all.
I hear you yapping of the pup.
Yes, you do.
This
She wants
concludes
attention.
the evening news, and now back to the ACT Computer Studio in Cape Coral, Florida.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us again for another episode. If you want to listen to all of our episodes, please go to what'sinyourhead.com. And while you're there, click on that Patreon link, like, subscribe, sign up. It'll go a long way to help us out for what we do here. And while you're there, please head over to youtube.com and you can watch our live streams every Tuesday and see all of our other content. You can see my bass fishing pole. If you want to see what happens to a fishing pole in 31-degree water when you're pulling a line across the lake, go check that out. and so much more. So thank you guys so much on behalf of Gordon and myself and Mike, no use for last name. We will talk to you all next week. Thank you so much. And here we go.
This has been a Digital 410 production.